Howdy, it's Jim Morado. We are driving around Morehead, Kentucky. This is kind of between central and eastern Kentucky. I'd say definitely more eastern. Stop here quite a bit if you're zigzagging between West Virginia and the Lexington area. This is to me, it's just a nice little stop that lately I've gotten to where I have to stop here anytime I'm going back and forth between between the two states. And it is a little it's a well, not little, it's a little town that has just really grown on me lately. And it is home of the college there in Morehead State University, which I honestly don't know a whole lot about. I went to Berea, and I've had some associations with other colleges. Yeah, I don't know a ton about that college. I know a couple of years ago they were airing some commercials that just looked fun, and it seemed like every time I was turning on my TV, I would see their commercials, and I thought, well, that just looks like a fun place to go to. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I used to see those commercials all the time. Just thought I would mention that. And I know when I'm coming back towards Lexington, like I said, this is a fun place to stop. You got to drive 2 or 3 miles off the road to kind of get to their main downtown area that I like. It's just a nice little place, and there are a few little businesses through here that I like a lot, and I wanted to mention them. This particular day, it's actually Halloween, and my wife and I decided this would be where we would go for Halloween. I like Halloween a lot. Yeah, with COVID and all this good stuff going on right now, we just decided that heading out to Morehead would be a lot of fun. So yeah, right now we're just driving around Morehead, and we stopped by Fuzzy Duck Coffee. And if you're not familiar with that great coffee shop, I've got plenty of pictures of it on my blog, kentuckytravels.blogspot.com. But it's a little store here that, oh yeah, and then we're going under the pedestrian bridge now, that to me is kind of a trademark of this area. Fuzzy Duck is just a great coffee shop. I'm pretty sure they use coffee toms out of Lexington to supply their beans and all that good stuff. But it's a great coffee shop slash bookstore slash yarn store. And each of the businesses has its own name. But yeah, it's just a nice place on its own. And we stopped by there for coffee on this particular morning. And we were gonna, I know they've moved out the tables from the coffee shop, but there are some tables scattered throughout the bookstore. But on this particular morning, I know at the bookstore they had moved the tables out. I think they'd had a roof leak or something, but they still had a table for us, and we sat there for a little bit. We looked at books and just enjoyed our time there. And we're driving over right now to Rutabakers. And again, that's another business. I have some pictures of it up on my blog. And this is a great restaurant. Right now, though, and it's probably still the case right now, but on this particular day, they were just doing kind of a takeout, kind of an order and takeout sort of thing. So yeah, my wife had not been here before, and she was looking forward to getting it. So anyway, we pulled into the parking lot, and they actually had some really nice little fellas come out, and they had menus, and you ordered, then they went in and put your order in, and a few minutes later they came out with your order. And my wife, who can be a bit selective about where she eats, the kind of restaurants she likes, absolutely loved Rutabakers. And I loved it too. I had some soup this particular day and a sandwich, and I'm trying to remember. I can't remember exactly what we ordered. I know she always goes with some sort of a salad. Yeah, Rutabakers is the real deal, and I can't say enough good about that place. It is just some tasty food, and it's unique. When I eat there, I'm like, man, this is some good food, and I can't compare it to anything I've had before. Rutabakers might be my favorite restaurant in the state. Let me think about that one, but it's gonna definitely be in contention for one of my favorites, if not my favorite in the state. They do a great job, and they're famous for their sugar cookies. They sell sugar cookies by the dozen, and I believe if it's your first visit there, they give you one for free. But just everybody I know, you go there and you have your meal, and then you buy a dozen on your way out because they are that good. This particular day, I don't know if they do this all the time, but they had day-old sugar cookies at half price, which I thought was a bargain. But they're really special right when they make them. And actually, we chatted briefly with the lady who pulled in beside us as we ordered, and she was just there for the cookies. She wasn't there to get lunch or anything. She was just there. I think I want to say she got a couple dozen cookies. But yeah, that place is all that. I know me and my buddy Jim came down here. My buddy Jimmy came down here right before the whole... well, actually, we came down on February 29th. I remember we were there on leap year day, and that was when I first went to Rutabakers. And Jimmy and I loved that place, and we were like, yeah, we got to bring our wives back down here. And unfortunately, the four of us just haven't had a moment to get back down there. But it is... The restaurant itself is cozy and clean, and the people running it are just super duper nice. And it's, for a nice place like it, it's affordable. You get a lot for your money there in my books. And it's just a really clean little restaurant, and you can tell that they aren't cutting corners. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to mention Rutabakers, and it is delicious. Just a great place. And then again, I mentioned that here in Morehead they also have one of my favorite coffee shops / bookstores with Fuzzy Duck, and that place is a huge place. And I know when they have their tables out, it's a nice cozy place, and a lot of the college kids come and hang out there. And I've been in there, especially the bookstore part of it before, when you've got people crocheting. I've seen people painting in there. It's a very nice, mellow place that kind of encourages, hang out and do something creative. And I like what they're doing there. And I always buy coffee, and I always try to pick up a book or something too while I'm there, just because it's the kind of business that deserves your support very much. And I like it a whole lot. The Folk Art Museum is here too. They were closed. I believe they're closed right now with the pandemic going on. And I've got a lot of pictures from that up on my blog. Again, KentuckyTravels.blogspot.com. But my friend Jimmy and I went there that one particular day, thinking, this will be a nice way to kill 15 minutes. And I think we ended up spending about 2 hours there. A lot of great art, and especially when you read the description and some information about the artists, it really adds to the folk art that they have displayed there. I like that place a lot, and I plan on going there more often. Just, probably one of the most underrated museums, definitely in the state, but it is a really happening museum. Another museum, there's a local military museum up basically on the campus of the college. Jimmy and I went there on the day that we came up to the city, and that is another one. We were the only two people there. Again, we thought we'd spend maybe 15-20 minutes there. We were there at least a couple of hours too, and there was a really nice guy running that museum, and we chatted with him for quite a while. Yeah, and since the dining part of Rutabakers was closed, my wife and I came down to, I believe this is City Park, and it was only maybe a mile or so away from Rutabakers. You just saw us drive there. But this was a really nice little park that impressed us quite a bit. It just looks nice. And we sat and we ate our food and just enjoyed, relaxing in a nice park like this. As we sat, we realized a couple of other cars had the same idea, but it was a very nice, kind of spaced out area. Plenty of room here, lots to do. This is really nice, and check out that view. Yeah, look how curvy the area is here. And later on, we would go drive around the campus some, and I drove up a hill, and there was just a beautiful lake and some great scenery. So even though you've got a nice little town here, you're still in a very rural area, and I like that a lot. I also like the fact that Morehead is so close to West Virginia, and West Virginia is a state, I've mentioned it before, that has really, really grown on me over the last several years. One of the first times I ever went over to West Virginia with some friends, it's country. It's straight up country. It's hilly, the roads are curvy, and it's country. And I understand, Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia. I understand the stereotypes. I went to Berea College myself as a poor Appalachian kid. I understand the stereotypes, and those stereotypes are well, I've heard people talk a lot about this region, and I think, well, obviously I think you miss out on the beauty of it. Especially as you get into West Virginia, it's an area that it gets a bad rap, but I don't think people are looking at what it has to offer, and that spills over into this part of Kentucky too with Morehead. It's just a very, very scenic area, and it's the whole area grows on me. I find myself taking more day trips to the east than I used to. And I lived in Ohio, in northern Ohio, for 10 years, and I find myself taking less and less trips north, and more trips east. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, I could go on and on about that, but so yeah, we found this nice scenic little park, and we came down here and enjoyed our Rutabakers. I still had some coffee from the Fuzzy Duck. And this was just really, really nice. And I enjoyed driving around this park too. And yeah, we were at this point. I didn't know this park. This was my first time in this area. So we're driving around, kind of trying to find the perfect spot, and just to pull over and enjoy our lunch. And yeah, I know we pull over around here somewhere. There's some water, kind of a little creek area going on. Yeah, this is just a nice spot. Yeah, I think we drove over here thinking, should we park over here? But the sun was hitting us just the right way, and we wanted something a little more away from the sun. Again, look at that view. Yeah, kind of going back, kind of facing the direction of the college. And we pull over here in just a moment. Yeah, and there's just a nice view from where we had our lunch this particular day, and I was checking out the menu there while I paused and just tried to get to some of the sounds of nature and cars. Wanted to leave that alone for a little bit just so you could enjoy that. But yeah, I was looking over the menu from Rutabakers, and on this particular day I had a Braidalicious, which is kind of a small. It looks small, but it's a thick, heavy sandwich. That's I think it was, I want to say turkey and Swiss, but it was so good. I had soup, and of course I had a cookie, and it was just a really really nice meal. And they yeah, that's just a really, the locals there in Morehead know all about it. Everybody else doesn't. So get there before everybody else figures out how great that place is. So yeah, I think we're still enjoying just hanging out. Yeah, and okay, we're starting to move now. We're done with our lunch, and we're heading back to drive around Morehead. And I didn't want to get away from here without mentioning just a little bit more about that military museum. It's the Rowan County Veterans Museum, and it's focused on men and women who've served from this area. And it is an incredible military museum. The space is small. It's kind of like an old house, and they've done a lot with the space they have. Though there are relics all over the place, and they actually encourage you to pick them up and look at them. They don't have a whole lot of cases there, and they have, of course, the guns and swords and that sort of thing kind of displayed up on the wall, and they do have some cases there, but there are a lot of items. And the guy running the place the day that we were there told us, feel free to pick stuff up, touch it, and look at it. And that was pretty thrilling in a lot of ways. That's pretty cool that you can do that there. And a lot of local veterans have donated uniforms and other items that they've had. I know I've got a couple of things that, one of these days I got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I'm not a veteran myself, but my dad was. My great grandfather or my grandfather. Yeah, I mean, a lot of family in the military, and I do have a few cool things of theirs, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them in the future. And I mentioned that to the guy running that museum, and he said, well, you could always put them here. And well, that's definitely something for me to think about in the future. But it's a wonderful museum, and I was really impressed with it. Just something, make sure you stop there when you're in this area. And we are parked again in front of, actually I think we ran by the coffee shop again. I might have needed to refuel before we left the area. So yeah, we stopped back by the coffee shop. And this is just a nice little downtown area. It's very attractive. I haven't hit many of these other shops. I think there's kind of law firms and some other kind of businesses like that through here. But I need to spend some more time just walking around this area, because it's just so darn attractive. And I hope you don't mind, but I started thinking, we weren't able to go to the folk art museum, and I didn't really videotape some of the other places I mentioned, so I added some pictures here at the end. This is the folk art museum there in Morehead that I went to with my pal Jimmy. Yeah, back in February 2020, literally just a couple weeks before everything hit with COVID. And we had a really nice day there. You see some snow on the ground, I believe. And yeah, I do remember it was cold. But that folk art museum is just in a class of its own. They had some great pieces. I love anything Lincoln related. I took a picture of that guy. And I'm just going to put up a few quick pictures here just to give you an idea of what's there. They had probably two floors filled with some great folk art, and they treat it the way it should be treated. It's displayed just so nicely. Look at that. How wonderful. Yeah, I mean it's displayed. It's very classy. There's a little card telling you the name of the piece and the artist, and usually there's a description. Giving you a little more to the story about the artists. And we were really impressed with just some of the background of some of the artists. Oh yeah, check out that. For an untrained artist to come up with something like that. This guy, his eyes were so lively. And I remember this particular artist just really, really nailed it when it came to just the expression on faces and the eyes. I don't think I've ever seen a figure sculptor get the eyes so perfect. And this was a piece that the Folk Art Museum kind of uses almost as their trademark. And yeah, there's something really stunning about it, but still very folk arty about it. And I actually bought a bookmark at their gift shop with that on it. I thought that was really cute. I noticed that they also sell little stuffed versions of that piece of art, which I should have picked up, but I didn't. And then also, basically, I'm not sure if it's technically on the campus of Morehead, but it's right beside kind of the main entry area to the college, is that military museum that I mentioned earlier. And I just wanted to include just a few pictures so you could get an idea of how cool that place was too. And there's some uniforms. They have a big room of uniforms and just some more items that they've got set out. And I mentioned that they encourage you to pick things up and to get a good idea of what it is. Is that? It might even have some grenades here and there, but I'm sure that they're not active. Yeah, and then of course the knives and the rifles and that kind of thing are on the wall. They obviously did not encourage you to pick those up. They're kind of out of bounds. But there's so much there too. Another thing that I loved about this museum is that they had some pictures and newspaper and other stories up of local men who had served and their stories, and that was really cool. I was most impressed. The little ration pack, I believe that was from the Vietnam War, and that section. My dad served in Vietnam, and that was one of the more fascinating sections to me. I kind of feel like that war is sometimes underrepresented in museums, but they did a great job. And then going back to Rutabakers, this is the inside of Rutabakers, and some of these pictures are on my blog, kentuckytravels.blogspot.com. But yeah, I mean that's just such a clean area. Like you walk in there and you're like, okay, it's clean, it's nice, it's kind of shiny, and it makes you go, okay, I feel pretty comfortable eating here. It's not going to be an issue. That was my lunch this on the first time we went there, and man, yeah, it kind of makes your mouth water right now just looking at it. But obviously, man, they are nailing it. Just some great unique food there, and we both really enjoyed what we ordered that particular day. And my buddy Jimmy bought a dozen cookies on that day, and we may have taken out about half of those before we got home. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed those videos, and I hope you get out to Morehead, Kentucky.